Welcome to All Manner of Creatures by Christian Schmidt. No matter who or what you are welcome here. Let's be clear. Here we welcome goblins and ghouls, saints and sinners, angels and devils, zombies and werewolves, vampires and witches. We welcome princesses and princes, paupers and farmhands, aliens, astronauts, robots and cyborgs, firefighters and police officers, cowboys, cowgirls, cowfolk of all varieties. We welcome Superman, Wonder Woman, Black Panther, Batman, Superman, Black Widow, and Thor. Indeed, we welcome both superheroes and supervillains, so long as their behavior lives up to our covenant. In short, we welcome people, monsters, and all manner of creatures. Here we welcome you, and all of who and what you are. Welcome. Let us begin.
And let's sing, Rise If Your Body Lets You.
May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows. May the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. Everyone except one person, forgive me for a second. Vic, the confidence monitor in the back isn't on. So I don't know if the little buttons over by your left side might fix it. Welcome to the Unitarian Church. My name is Nathan. I'm one of your ministers. I am pleased to welcome you today. We have a few announcements for you today. First is, if anyone seems a little tired, we had our Halloween party last night. Kathy did a lot of work for it. Who helped coordinate it? Mikey Walsh.
Oh, mine.
Well, just
Mikey Walsh helped me coordinate.
So Mikey Walsh right there, who didn't know she was going to get credit, helped with a lot of it. So thank you, Mikey.
And a crew of about 25 adults.
And only 25 adults and some teens and some people who grew up in the church were a part of it. So that is the story with Halloween. A few things for you to know. Today, during middle hour, in room 5 will be the parenting support in tumultuous times. In room 6 is introduction to this church. This is open to visitors and members as well. And then we're doing a room change. In room 1 will be the social justice sub-team on reproductive justice. The other things for you to know is, I don't even know how to put this. We know the risks that are coming next week with the possibility of SNAP going away, or at least for some amount of time. And we also know that the food bank had severe cuts to their funding. So we always bring in food for the food bank, but we have a box over there. We put it right in the center for these next few weeks. if you would bring in as much food, any food you either really like or really don't like, bring in and put it in that box so that we can at least do a little bit of our part in these hard times. That's it. Welcome to the church. I'm glad you're here.
I invite you to join me now in a moment of prayer. Loving God, Spirit of life, mystery in which we live and move and have our being, draw near to us this morning and hear our prayers. We give thanks for the chance to be together, to be still, to have fun, to laugh, and to maybe learn something new. We give thanks for the healing power of laughter, the chance to watch the children of this community experiencing joy, knowing that this is how we raise the next generation. For all those experiencing illness, both mental and physical, may you find the strength to get the care you need. For those struggling with grief, with the heaviness of the world, may you find hope, peace, reprieve. The presence of each one of you among us makes us whole. May it be so. Amen.
Today we only have one card. It's going to be for Landon, one of the children of our congregational administrator, Allison Hall. He's fine. We're doing a thinking of you card to him. We also have two things. For this week and next week, we are going to have a table, an altar up. Next week we're going to do kind of a blessing of it. If you have any mementos or photos of someone you love or didn't love but you're missing, that you would like, who has died, that you would like to add to this table, you can do it today, you can do it during the week, you can bring it next week. So I just want you to know we have that here for the next 2 weeks. And also at the 11:30 service, at the end, we are going to scatter the ashes of Julie Ruckstuhl. She was a long-term member of this church. She died 1 year ago yesterday. And at her memorial service, and I don't believe in ghosts, and I don't think that this was entirely outside of something that she would think was kind of interesting. It just stormed like crazy, and we couldn't do the scattering, and so we waited till today, and it stormed like crazy, and it stopped. So if anyone was close to her and wants to come back at 11:30 or 12:30, we're going to do the scattering then. This ritual we have is open to everybody. We try to make a space online, folks, for you to do it in the way that works for you and for you in person to do it here. We invite you to come forward either along the west or the east wall. Take a stone, let it represent whatever you're carrying or holding today, and place it in the chalice bowl. We now invite those who wish to come forward as we place stones. And we say together, with hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is the symbol of the power of love.
Morning, y'all. So, last night was the Halloween party. Halloween is coming up in 5 more days? 5 more days, something like that. So today we're going to talk about, we were thinking about talking about things that we are afraid of, or people are often afraid of. And it got me to thinking about things in nature that people are often afraid of. Who can tell me something in nature that might be scary or might scare you? Say it loud enough so I can repeat it. Tornadoes? Hurricane? Spiders? Snakes? Oh, fire ants? Something kind of caterpillars? Stinging caterpillars. I hadn't even thought of those. Thank you, Angus. Sometimes I think I have moved to a world where there are many things that I don't understand, and the bugs here are among them. Y'all have cockroaches that fly. That was a shock. That was not a happy shock. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is how people deal with being afraid, or some tools for your toolbox. And so, Lee, your moment arrives. I don't think I timed this. So, what is this? It is. It is a spider. In a moment, it will be a fully inflated spider. Is that spider creepy or scary? No. Because one of the ways that human beings deal with things that are scary is humor. We make caricatures, we make memes, we put funny inflatables in our front yards, because when we make something scary into something funny, it loses a lot of its power. I'm thinking inflatable frogs here, as well as inflatable spiders and inflatable skeletons and dragons and other things. Another way that we deal with being afraid is by being in community like this, because being with somebody when you see a spider or a snake is less scary than when you are all alone by yourself. Having somebody else to talk to or to hold your hand gives you both support and comfort, and it keeps you from getting wrapped up in the fear inside your own head. It's called co-regulation, when people calm each other down simply by being together. And talking about our fears puts them into perspective. Being with somebody who is calm and supportive helps us stay calm in the face of fear. Another way that we deal with things that are scary is by learning about them. Spiders can be scary just because of what they are. They're little, mostly. They're little, they move fast, and truth be told, they can bite. But spiders also have a lot of things that are good about them. Who can tell me something positive about a spider?
They eat roaches.
Thank God they eat roaches. They eat mosquitoes. They build beautiful webs, which can, by the way, folk medicine teaches us that cobwebs have some healing properties, and science has started to research that. So, a couple of other things. Did you know that spiders are also pollinators as they crawl from flower to flower? You just didn't say it loud enough, that's what it is. As they crawl from flower to flower, they carry pollen with them. Most spider venom doesn't actually affect humans. It's intended for the prey that it kills. Digging spiders can aerate the earth. They're good for the earth, just like earthworms are. Spiders are food for lizards and frogs and bats and birds. And they are important for a balanced ecosystem. And fun fact, I'm waiting for a slide to come up here as I announce, fun fact, spider feet look like tiny cat paws. Isn't that cool? Thank you, Vic. And so there you are, 3 helpful tools to put in your toolbox for the times that you are feeling scared or afraid or worried or nervous. Humor, community, and knowledge. Thank you.
Samhain. In this season, leaves should love, since it gives them leaves to move. Through the wind and towards the ground, they were watching while they hung. Legend says there is a seam, stitching darkness like a name. Now when dying grasses veil, earth from the sky in one last pale. Wave as autumn brings winter back and then the spring. We who die ourselves can peel back again another veil that hangs among us like thick smoke. Tonight at last I feel it shake. I feel the nights stretching away, thousands long behind the days, till they reach the darkness where all of me is ancestor. I move my hand and feel a touch move with me, and when I brush my own mind across another, I am with my mother's mother. Sure as footsteps in my waiting self I find her, and she brings arms that carry answers for me, intimate, awaiting bounty. Carry me. She leaves this trail through a shutter of the veil and leaves like amber where she stays.
So today we're going to do a few things. We're going to talk some about Halloween, about this time of year, and the idea that the veil is growing thinner. We're also going to talk some about our Unitarian Universalist history. And just to keep it a little fun, we're going to talk some about ghosts and communicating with the dead. So the story we heard earlier about the spider begs the question, how do we deal with things that scare us? And different ones of us deal in different ways. I know that there's someone out here who likes to call the fact that if you marry from someone from Louisiana, you have to live here Louisiana disease. And apparently I also have the disease. So my husband grew up here, but I didn't. And so when we were first dating, he mentioned something about hell houses for Halloween, and I did not know what that was. And so we immediately had to watch a documentary about it, as one does. And I was shocked at the scenarios they had to create to scare people about hell. So people who loved differently than they said was okay, who made different reproductive choices for reasons they didn't bother to understand, who suffered accidents, were writhing in an imagined hell. These were the things they imagined were sins, and the scenarios were violent, honestly. And the strangest part of it all was the youth pastor in charge of casting teens in these roles, having them help build sets depicting hell, brainstorming fake blood. The goal was to evangelize to people who were a captive audience, to bring them closer to God. But my question always is in these situations, do we really want fear to be the tool by which people are called to live a good life? If so, we might have different definitions of good. I had never grown up around people who didn't celebrate Halloween because they thought it was demonic or satanic or possibly a sin. That was a foreign concept to me. And sin is not a word I'm super comfortable with, mostly because it seems too harsh, too final. Like there's not enough room for nuance, for gray. Maybe it's a little bit too you of me, but I do think of sin in terms of covenant. We sin when we don't treat each other with respect and with kindness. We sin when we allow violence against groups of people. We sin when we aren't living in the world as it should be. Countries can sin, institutions can sin. But how do we get redeemed from sin in a religious tradition that doesn't have a top-down way of making decisions? How do we get absolution? Who says when it's okay and when it's fixed? The answer, of course, is that we do. So we just had our congregation's Halloween party, and I thought we might do something a little fun today and talk about Halloween, the meaning we make of things that scare us from a spiritual perspective. Halloween traces its roots from the pagan holiday Samhain, which marked the end of summer and the harvest time, as well as the transition from fall into winter, which was often associated with cold, darkness, and also with death. The Celts believed that on Samhain, the boundary, or as it's sometimes called, the veil, between the worlds of the living and the dead was thinner. They believed that the spirits of the dead returned to the earth, and that it was easier for Celtic druids to make predictions about the future. These future predictions were necessary for a people who lived with such uncertainty related to the natural worlds. To mark Samhain, druids built sacred bonfires where people offered crops as sacrifices to their gods. During this time, they dressed up in costumes and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. Once the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires in their homes from the big sacred fire to protect them during the coming winter. Like many of our holidays, eventually these traditions that sprang from paganism were co-opted by Christianity, as these places were conquered by the Romans and belief in Christianity was required. So that's a lot of background to kind of set the scene and set the tone of what we're talking about today, to ease you into the feeling of the season, to make things a little spooky. Whether we believe in the idea of the thinness of the veil or not, I think there's something joyful, maybe magical, about this time of year when the mornings get cooler and night falls earlier, where our children dress up in costumes and ask us for candy, where we will remember our ghosts who have passed beyond the veil.
We're going to teach you a song, and then we're going to sing it together, and then we're going to attempt to do the not impossible. Y'all can do this. But first of all, I'm going to teach you the song. It would be lovely if we had the words to the song up on the back wall, as well as up in front. And because this is new to so many, I'm going to ask Lee to play the line, I'll sing the line, and then I'll invite y'all to sing with me. So. The ghost of John. Let's try that. Have you seen the ghost of John? Long white bones with the rest all gone. One more time for security. Long white bones with the rest all gone. Ooh. We can do that all together. You don't have to be on pitch. This is an ooh sound, so be scary. Ooh. Chilly with no skin on. Let's try that line together. Wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on? And then the last two lines with the ooh part, all together. Ooh, wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on? Let's try that all together. Have you seen the ghost of John? Long white bones with the rest all gone. Ooh, wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on? And now the fun part. We are going to divide into two groups. I am looking at the size of the congregation, and I am going to split 3 sections here. Y'all go with Kathy. This section over here, y'all go with me. And by the vagaries of how congregations work out, that makes the parts pretty much even. Yes. So I'm going to let you start.
Okay.
And then we'll go through it twice, okay?
Here we go. Have you seen the ghost of John? Long white bones with the rest of John.
Long white bones with the rest all gone.
Wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on? Have you
Chilly
seen
with
the
no
ghost
skin
of John?
Have you
Bones with the rest all gone.
long white bones with the rest all gone?
Wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on?
Wouldn't it be chilly with no skin on? Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause because that was good.
So, our ghosts came alive through spiritualism, a religion that was created in the 1840s. And to understand spiritualism, we first need to understand a little bit about UU history. So, bear with me if you know this. For folks who might be new or who may not know, we as UUs trace our history through two distinct lines, Unitarians and Universalists. These two traditions eventually merged into what we now know as Unitarian Universalism in 1961. Unitarians got their name because they rejected the concept of the Trinity and believed in the oneness of God, which was a radical idea in the 1800s. Universalists got their name because they believed in universal salvation. In other words, heaven is for everyone. So we're going to leave the Unitarians alone for today because this story is more about the Universalists. During the Second Great Awakening in the United States, many Universalists, clergy and lay people alike, began dabbling in spiritualism. And today the word spiritual is often used by people saying they're spiritual but not religious, or talking about involvement in a kind of New Age movement. But spiritualism is a religious movement based on the belief that we, the living, can communicate with the spirits of people who have died. And this was done through things like seances, mediums, Ouija boards. At its height in the 19th century, in the decade before the Civil War, approximately 1.5 million Americans practiced spiritualism. And although people from many different backgrounds became spiritualists, our Universalist ancestors were disproportionately drawn to this belief, and no other denomination lost more of its leaders to it. We don't talk a lot about Universalism's entanglement with spiritualism. The last time I remember hearing it mentioned was in divinity school when my UU history professor referred to it as the thing that blows it all up, talking about the Universalist Church in America. Through today's eyes, this might seem a little hokey, maybe like other pseudosciences from that time, but if we pause for a bit longer, it does make sense that these people would be drawn to spiritualism. For one thing, they lived during a time when death was much more common, when there weren't protections against so many of the diseases we vaccinate against today. And it connects to the idea that Kathy was talking about earlier, about how we deal with being scared. Death is scary in some ways, but maybe it is also a source of curiosity. Just like the Celts who first donned masks and told fortunes to celebrate the veil growing thinner, those who were interested in spiritualism were probably also curious, maybe seeking a way to look at the things that scared them head on. Spiritualism made it okay to talk to the dead. It wasn't supposed to be scary, but rather a form of communication. I can understand, too, why people would want the lines of communication to remain open. Death, in some ways, is the ultimate mystery. We don't know what happens after, and it feels so final. The communication, at least as we know it, stops. We aren't ready. We are never ready. We aren't ready to let go of the people we love, the people we have lost. It's too much. And so they turn to things like seances to try to communicate with people who had left them, because that's part of the grieving process in some ways, refusing to let go. Universalism began with a group of people intensely concerned with what happens after death. They believed that no God would condemn anyone to hell. This was radical during a time when most mainline Protestant traditions believed almost everyone was going to hell. We have heretics on both sides of our religious heritage. With the question of the afterlife off the table in some ways, what became much more important to Universalists was the world right then and what could be done to make it a better place. This was a time of progress and reform in many ways, with people beginning to coalesce around abolition in the decade before the Civil War and also the suffragist movement. And our Universalist ancestors really paved the way for a lot of the things that UUs believe today about loving people, seeing the inherent worth and dignity in each person, working for a world in which that is made a reality. But the question of what happens after you die still lingers. Ghosts are everywhere in our culture. We have Casper, the friendly ghost, the idea of unfinished business. We have mediums like Jonathan Edwards, and even if people remember Long Island Medium, with her long nails and Long Island accent, trying to channel spirits on a reality show. There is, I think, kind of a tacit acceptance of the idea that the people we love could still be around, maybe just in a different way than we can see or understand. Instead of the idea of original sin that so many other traditions were offering at the time, spiritualism offered the idea that we are born good and that every good thing we do in life adds to the opportunity for goodness. Spiritualists also didn't believe in heaven or hell. Instead, they believed that death is a kind of transition, that those we love remain among us in a different way. And you can see, I think, why there would be a kind of natural connection between Universalism and spiritualism because of the concern among Universalists about what came after this life and their belief that no one will be cast out of heaven or sent to hell. Spiritualists also believe that Jesus lived, that he was a wise teacher, like we believe, but to the dismay of many Christians, they see Jesus as the first great medium. As Jamie Loftus shares in her podcast on spiritualism called Ghost Church, spiritualism is a holdover from the Industrial Revolution in many ways. It kind of has one foot in aspirational religious ideas and one foot in half-proven scientific ideas. Spiritualism first came about in Rochester, New York in 1848, and this was close to where the Seneca Falls Convention took place only a few months later and would launch the suffragist movement and really the first wave of feminism. This area was a center of progressive movements for abolition as well. It was a time of lots of progress, but within that, also lots of anxiety. Some religious folks were worried about science undercutting faith, and scientists were worried that religion would resist scientific evidence. And so there was this tension that was very much alive. And we'll see where this goes in just a little bit.
But before we do that, we have to do the offering. Online folks, I had a thought. If you would like to participate in our altar table, Marla, don't put my email address in there, but if anyone who is online, either watching this later or live, would like to have us print out a photo of your loved one, you can send it to me. And if you don't know, just find any email address on the website and we'll go from there. Thank you all. The other thing I wanted to tell you as we build up for the offering, first, this is the last Sunday of the month. We are sharing it with Dialogue on Race, Louisiana, I believe. Yes. And so we're going to split it half and half. I would love for this organization to get a lot of money from this church. And I want to talk again about the food bank food drive and tell you a story that many of you have probably heard before. When I was living in Dallas and I worked at a Unitarian church there, I had a gimmick idea to bring a lot of food in for the food drive. And the idea was, let's do like 1 ton of beans. We'd spend like 2 months having everyone bring in dried beans and would fill it up. And I called the food bank there and they said, we don't need beans. People don't cook beans. They don't take that much long. They don't have that much time to cook them, which I get like Louisiana does, but in Texas they didn't. And I said, well, what is the one thing that you need the most of? And they said jelly. And I said, what? And they said, everyone loves giving peanut butter because it's healthy and it's protein and it's, stoic or whatever. But no one ever wants to give jelly because jelly is just fun. And you can't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without jelly. So the food bank there spent a lot of their money on jelly because everyone would give peanut butter. So as you're thinking about what to bring next week to fill up the food bank, don't just think about peanut butter. Think about other things that maybe bring you joy to eat. And with that, I will ask you to give very generously as this morning's offering is gratefully given and received.
Immortality by Leslie Takahashi. In the daily weave of our lives, those who have died are still strong, guiding threads. Theirs is the golden glimmer, or perhaps the brilliant red or the melancholy blue. Still, they are part of the whole cloth of our lives. They are the ancestors, the goers before. Through this, we know immortality. In the hour-to-hour rush of our daily tasks, they travel with us through something they taught us, which is now ours to do, through something they loved, which is now ours to carry out, through something we shared, which is now ours alone and yet not. Through this, we know immortality. In the minute-to-minute grasp of where we are, we remember the joys our departed gave us, which opened us up to hope, the sorrows we knew together, which taught us strength, the life shared, which is now ours to steward. Through this, we know immortality. In the second-to-second pulse of life, we sense the spirit of those who have loved and lost. This presence is too shy for naming, too loving for full knowing, and yet as real as the days we shared. Through this, we know immortality. They are more than remembered, they are memory itself. For what we love lives on in the way our beloved dead accompany us through our life. Their words and their wisdom, our guide, their humor, our relief, their restless concern for the world, our charge. Through this, we know immortality.
On March 31st, 1848, in Hydesville, New York, a suburb of Rochester, Maggie and Kate Fox, who were 11 and 14 at the time, started hearing a series of knocks in their bedroom. They repeated over and over, and the girls became more and more scared. They called in their mother and even their neighbors, who all heard the sounds as well. Finally, the girls started talking to the sounds, asking if someone was there, using the knocks corresponding with different letters, and finally determining that what they were hearing was a spirit and intentionally communicating with them. The spirit told them he was a traveling salesman who had been in the area a few years earlier and had been murdered by someone in the community. Now, obviously, this didn't go over well with many people, and folks were definitely skeptical. No one was able to verify the identity of the traveling salesman or whether he existed at all. But the idea of communicating with spirits began to take the world by storm. The girl's older sister took them back to Rochester with her, and they began to hold seances and readings for the powerful progressive community there. Now, like a lot of things related to UU history, this is all seeming very white, very aspirational, very onwards and upwards forever kind of thing. And it was, for the most part, spiritualism was. But during my research, I discovered that when spiritualism made its way to the South, it did find some traction in New Orleans, especially among French or Caribbean-born people, both black and white, who settled there. Many of these were free black folks or people with some Creole heritage, and they actually held their readings and wrote the recordings of their messages from spirits exclusively in French. Spiritualism became very popular for a while, and then by the early 20th century really burned out and declined in popularity. They didn't have a central leader, one set of beliefs, and it was kind of like the intentional communities of the time. It seemed really cool for a while, and then people stopped believing in it for lots of reasons. It fizzled out. But I think it still has things to teach us. It asks questions that we are still trying to answer today. Like, what is the role of people's own direct experience in our religious life? How much stock do we put in that? What is the role of women in church leadership? Do we listen to them? Do we trust them? And is revelation forever unfolding? Can there be new sources of wisdom that we haven't yet discovered? Though immortality may not come in the way our Universalist ancestors thought, as Leslie Takahashi reminds us, the spirits of our ancestors live on in us. Though it might be painful to let go, those who leave us are never really gone, because we have learned from them and been shaped by them in ways we are both aware and unaware of. Looking at old pictures of myself, I can see the grandmother I never met and the expressions on my own face. On the morning of my graduation from seminary, much delayed as I graduated in 2020, one of my grandmother's favorite songs played on the radio in the hotel lobby before my husband and I were downstairs, when only my mother was there to hear it. My grandpa was the son of Danish immigrants who each came to the United States without much money, who met in New York City, and eventually scraped together enough money for a dairy farm upstate. During the Great Depression, times were so bad that they lost the farm and had to move back to the city. And my mom says my grandpa told stories of being made fun of for his clogs in Brooklyn. When my mom was pregnant with me, she was talking to my grandpa and shared that they had a name picked out for me, that it was Meredith. She remembers him just kind of staring at her for a moment and starting to cry, saying the farm was in Meredith, New York. My mom had never known the name. These stories might seem silly, just like the Fox sisters and their claims of connection to the spirit world seem to some, but others will know what I mean about some sort of presence among us, a deeper knowing of things we could not have known without some kind of guide. Leslie Takahashi describes it this way in the reading we heard earlier. In the second-to-second pulse of life, we sense the spirit of those we have loved and lost. This presence is too shy for naming, too amorphous for full knowing, and yet as real as the days we shared. We get little signs sometimes, if we know where to look. It seems that almost every culture has some sort of tradition of acknowledging their dead, of remembering people who have gone before, and we are no different. We hold on to pictures, things, memories that come to us in waves, in smell and sound, and traditions they started that we continue. And we know that in that way, our people continue to live on.
I invite you to rise for this next hymn.
Send down your waters, send down your waters upon this land. O healing river,
So why does this matter? Why are we talking about this? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the, okay. Sorry, guys.
An excerpt from Haunted by David White. Haunted is a word that denotes an unresolved parallel, a presence that is not quite a presence, a visitation by the as yet unspeakable. It is also emblematic of a longing for incarnation, of an unbearable substrate of wanting, of not finding a home in this world or in the next, someone or something that walks the halls of our house or of our mind, looking for what will help to lay its own self to rest. What haunts us is something that seeks its own disappearance. It wants to become fully itself, and so depart. Looking in the mirror, our face begins to look like our not quite incarnated self. We walk not exactly existing in the world that we visit. Like the spirits and the half-beings that we imitate on Halloween, we roam the streets as if looking for an abode on this earth where we are unable to locate, demanding tribute from those who dwell within. The exorcism of an unwanted spirit is consistent the world over, an invitation to return home, for it and for us to find our way back, to cease our restless ways and to quit disturbing others' lives or walking their houses by night.
Okay, now we're going to talk about why this matters. So part of what matters is talking about our history, which is something I did a lot of as an interim minister, looking back in order to move forward, understanding what's in our DNA. But it's also because we are again approaching this time of year when the veil grows thinner, when some believe our dead walk among us. We are entering the darker, quieter part of the year, when animals hibernate and our fields might lie fallow. Those who participate in pagan traditions often talk about the wheel of the year, with different seasons and celebrations that mark the seasons as part of the wheel. And as the wheel turns, our lives change, and it keeps turning, and they keep changing. I had a friend in seminary who would talk about the overlap of the Gospels as a haunting, meaning you can kind of hear the voices of previous writers in the new text, but you can't say for sure what is from who. He would call this a haunted reading, and I think that's true for us too. We are all haunted. We are haunted by the people we have lost. We're haunted by the questions of what comes after this life. We are haunted by the charge, in a good way, of our religious ancestors. How are we going to love the hell out of this world? We are haunted by things we don't understand, by things we did or didn't do. In so many modern interpretations of ghost stories, there's an idea that the ghost has unfinished business, and that's why they're haunting the person or the place, because there's more to be done, something that feels left hanging. David White writes on hauntings, "We cease to be haunted when we cease to be afraid of making what has been untouchable real, especially our understandings of the past, and especially those we wronged, those we were wronged by, or those we did not help. We become real by forgiving ourselves, and we forgive ourselves by changing the foundational pattern, and especially by changing our present behavior to those we have hurt. A fear of ghosts, or a fear of our own haunted mind, is the measure of our absence in this world. We cease to be afraid when we give away what was never ours in the first place, and begin to be present to our own lives just as we find them, even in facing what we have banished from our thoughts and made homeless, even when we do not know the way forward ourselves. When we make a friend of what we previously could not face, what once haunted us now becomes an invisible parallel ally, a beckoning hand to our future. I have always believed that our past can tell us something about the future, And the past in this regard isn't perfect in terms of appropriation of traditions, of people of color, of the whiteness in general, of the spiritualist movement. The realness of it, the validity of it, is not really mine to know or to say. But I can see a way in which it would feel real to the people experiencing it. And that's what I see this movement telling us about our future now. We're having fun today, talking about ghosts and spirits, remembering those we love, and appreciating the change that is coming as the wheel of the year keeps turning. But I also see in our past a people who were open to believing people's direct experiences, who made space for very young girls and women to be in positions of religious authority by virtue of their experiences. I see a people who were seeking connection at a time that felt disconnected, in some ways like we feel disconnected now. And though spiritualism, the religion, dwindled, the ideas didn't die. Those people found hope and connection in community. They found people who were willing to hear and consider new ideas. Their community stretched beyond this world to include ancestors that had come before. They understood that love and connection do not end in this life, but continue on as long as we remember those we have lost. May we too take these lessons into our coming days and find comfort within them. May it be so. Amen.
Let's sing.
Good friends from whom we soon must part, where are we bound? Your hands and voices lift my heart. Here is my home. Come darkness, come light, where are we bound? Come morning, come night, here is my home. For those who work in harmony, where are we bound? We'll live to live in unity. Here is my home. Come darkness, come light, where are we bound? Come morning, come night, here is my home. If we can join ourselves in song, where are we bound? Our hearts will live when we are gone. Here is my home. Come darkness, come light, where are we bound? Come morning, come night, here is my home. The spirit which finds music here, where are we bound? Will live forever in the air. Here is my home. Come darkness, come light, where are we bound? Come morning, come night, here is my home.
May we carry forward the spirit of all that we have learned this morning, of openness, of connection, into the week ahead. Let us go in peace.